Good day, friends. Many of you may not recognize the room that I'm in right now. It's the teen room here, right at the very end of the gym, and we're using the teen room this week for a much younger age group. This is our missions room for Vacation Bible School this week as we're thinking together about the Abundance Orchard. The Abundance Orchard is a vacation Bible school that comes to us from the mission group called Society of St. Andrew that is devoted to gleaning fields of produce, fruits, and vegetables that would otherwise either get tossed away or rot in the fields and not be able to be used to feed people. If you've ever been a farmer or a gardener, you know sometimes you don't get enough tomatoes and sometimes you get too many tomatoes. Well, imagine that on a big scale. And one of the things the kids have been learning about this week is a quiz that has them look at some fruit or a vegetable that is perfectly edible, but the farmer does not ship it to the grocery store, and they have to guess why that happened, why those particular fruits or vegetables were left behind. What happens is that Society of St. Andrew comes in and salvages those, and because of the work of volunteers, because of our offerings, because of cooperative ministries, they're able to channel those bags of fruit and vegetables to people who might not otherwise be able to have them. So it's a cooperative effort between the missions, the farms, and the agencies that help distribute that and bless families. So I'm going to give you that quiz today. See what you can do. So we are beginning with this corn. This looks like a really nice amount of corn, and indeed it's perfectly edible, perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. But for some reason, the farmers did not sell it to the grocery store. Why did this corn get left behind? What do you think? Well, there's a lot of reasons corn might get tossed aside. Sometimes a box of corn will fall off the truck and it'll end up in the ditch and maybe nobody will see it. Maybe corn got too much bug spray on it, or it might have worms there. But what happened here is that, and this is something I learned, that some stalks in a cornfield will actually, after the harvest, they'll go back and produce a second ear of corn, or even a third ear of corn. And it's not enough to have another harvest, so volunteers will come in and get that extra corn perfectly good, ready to go, and make sure it gets used. Let's look at these peaches. Ooh, they sure look good, and I can't wait for peach season in Virginia to be here. What happened to these peaches? Well, there's a lot of reasons why peaches might not go to the grocery store. They might be bruised. It might be that the grocery store didn't buy them. They might get squished. But these are perfectly fine peaches still on the tree. What do you think happened? Well, peaches, as you might guess, get picked a lot by hand. And what happened here, workers are working fast. They're trying to fill up those boxes, and they just missed some. So here's some peaches here, there, and yonder. And so volunteers come in the next day and pick those peaches and make sure that they quickly get to be shared by food pantries or something like that, and be able to be a blessing to somebody. Very, very cool. Okay, strawberries. Oh, those look good, don't they? What could be wrong with those strawberries? Well, they might be infested with bugs, but you wouldn't want to even give those away. They might have gotten dropped and got all messy. But what happened with these strawberries? Why did they not go to the grocery store? Well, here's what happened. With the bulk of the harvest completed, the farmer didn't hire any more workers, and the farmer closed the farm for the season. But the farmer wanted to make sure that maybe some of those extra strawberries that come in a little later could be used. So the farmer got some volunteers to come out and serve and help make sure those strawberries found a good home. Ooh, now look at this, tomatoes. Sounds yummy, doesn't it? Nothing quite like a homegrown tomato. They look perfectly fine, don't they? They don't look like they're too ripe. They don't look like they got squished. You got to be careful taking care of tomatoes. Maybe they were too ripe. Who knows there? What was wrong with these tomatoes? Why did they not make it to market? Well, you may be surprised to find out what happened, or maybe you're not surprised. And that is that the workers were instructed to pick tomatoes that were about the same size. And so the workers went through the field there, and they made sure that the tomatoes were not way too big, they weren't tiny, and maybe even more importantly, they weren't weird shapes. Some tomatoes are just not perfectly round. They kind of have a bulge on the edge, and the workers just leave those behind. They want tomatoes that can be stored in bulk, put in those boxes. They stack real nice. They stack real nice at the store. And if you go to the store, you notice the tomatoes are pretty consistent one to another. The regular produce market likes that. Now, if you go to the store, you might see a table that says heirloom tomatoes, or you might see a table at the farmer's market that says heirloom tomatoes. It's kind of funny. We actually pay more for those because they taste so good. Well, a good tomato, it really doesn't matter what the size is or the shape is. If it's picked at the right time, it'll help somebody. So that's what happened. Volunteers came in and help those tomatoes find a home. Now we have green beans. That's today's quiz for the kids. What's wrong with these green beans? They look kind of perfect, don't they? Why did they get left behind? Were they too old, maybe? Did they have a disease? No, they're perfectly good. They got left behind. That is, and again, you might be surprised, the pickers, the professional pickers, they have a range of length of the green beans. Not too short, not too long. So again, sort of like the tomatoes, they go to the store and they kind of fit. So these green beans got left behind because it looks like a lot of them are too big. Also, if a green bean got broken, they're going to leave that behind. But they're perfectly good, and if you get them fast, they can be shared and give somebody something good. Finally, big bags of potatoes. Society of St. Andrew started as the Potato Project. Maybe you remember that. You're starting to see a trend here. What's wrong with these potatoes? Well, the potatoes that got left behind were the wrong shape. Once again, doesn't make any sense. But the potatoes they wanted to bring to market were the ones that were a particular shape, and the ones that were a little bit odd, or maybe again, sort of like the tomatoes that had a bulge on it, they got left behind. But the volunteers came in. Just imagine what that field would smell like if the potatoes were left there to rot. That would not be very appealing, would it? Have you ever smelled a bad tomato? Not a good thing. So these potatoes are indeed salvaged, and the volunteers come in and dig them up and share them. Well, I guess they've already been dug up, right? But they've been sorted and they've been tossed, not sent to market, and the volunteers bag them up and bring them. Just last week, there was a potato drop right here in Roanoke, sponsored by Society of St. Andrew. It took place at a school parking lot, and folks could come by and get a free bag of potatoes. So all of this is happening right around us. What a good and wonderful thing. By the way, the green bean farm, one of the biggest green bean salvage operations takes place at a farm in Reiner, Virginia. So if you like to pick green beans, maybe you could be a volunteer someday with the potato or the green bean picking team in Reiner, Virginia. So as you can see, our kids have learned a lot this week, and I wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to learn some of this as well, because the ministry of Society of St. Andrew is so not obvious at all to think about this partnership that happens. And it's very big right here in Virginia, and these opportunities come our way. So be in prayer for the ministries of the Society of St. Andrew. And one of the other things we taught the kids is how to prevent wasting food in the first place, because it's not just food in the fields, it's food in our homes that sometimes goes in the trash. So look for ways that you can conserve, and we'll talk a little bit next week, I think, and share with you some more about what we learned about the Society of St. Andrew. I want to share one other thing, and that is coming up this Sunday afternoon at 4:30 is one of our summer shorts called Making Sense of the Devil. Have you ever noticed that both the book of Genesis and the Gospels begin with an encounter with evil? Adam and Eve there in the garden, Jesus on the mountain. And there are other images of evil or the devil or Satan or whatever throughout the Bible that sometimes really baffle us. And some churches talk about that all the time in a very, very specific, tangible way. Other churches maybe not mention it at all. So we're going to take a little bit of a journey Sunday afternoon and try to make sense of what our tradition and our scriptures really teach us about the power of evil in our world and how that makes a difference in our lives. So God bless and be with you, and I hope to see you Sunday afternoon at 4:30.